All right, good evening everyone. We'll get the show on the road. Welcome to the Planning Decisions Committee meeting. Councillors, we have received apologies from the Mayor, Councillor Jolly, and the Deputy Mayor, Councillor Harrison. So in their absence, an acting chair must be appointed by the members of the committee in accordance with Section 63 of the Local Government Act. So as Senior Governance Coordinator, I will facilitate the process of the appointment of the chair. So the way it goes, I'll just ask for a nomination. So it can be self-appointed or another councillor can appoint another chair. I'll then ask for a seconder and then we'll put it to the vote. So with that, councillors, do I have any nominations for the acting chair?
Yeah, I'll nominate to act as chair.
Thank you, Councillor McKenzie. Do we have a seconder?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Councillor Gomez. I'll put that to the vote. Yep, and that's carried unanimously. Thank you, Councillor McKenzie.
Thank you, councillors. I'll just start by acknowledging that Yarra City Council acknowledges the Wurundjeri people as the traditional owners and of the land, now known as Yarra. We acknowledge their spirit bunjil, their ancestors and their elders. We acknowledge the strength and resilience of the Wurundjeri who have never ceded sovereignty and retained their strong connections to family, clan and country despite the impacts of European invasion. We also acknowledge the significant contributions made by other Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people to life in Yarra. We pay our respects to elders from all nations here today and to their elders past, present and future. So we have in attendance today Councillor Edward Crossland, Councillor Kenneth Gomez, Councillor Mecca Ho, Councillor Sophie Wade and myself, Councillor Sarah McKenzie. We've received apologies from Councillor Stephen Jolly, Councillor Sharon Harrison and Councillor Eva Aston. Councillors, I will now ask each of you to make a conflict of interest declaration. You may respond, I do, to the following question. Do you declare that you have familiarised yourself with the matters being presented to this meeting and that you do not have a conflict of interest? Councillor Crossland?
I do.
Councillor Wade?
I do.
Councillor Gomez?
I do.
Councillor Ho?
I do.
And I do. Alrighty, first item of business at the minutes of the Planning Decision Committee held on Tuesday the 23rd of June 2026 be confirmed. Councillors, I have a motion to confirm these minutes. Do I have a mover who was at that meeting? Yep, Councillor Crossland and a seconder. Councillor Gomez, I'll call for a vote. Yep, that's passed unanimously. We'll now move to the committee business reports. So we don't have anybody in our audience at the moment. So we will go in order and I'll explain the rules to anybody who does join us. So first up we have the 79 to 81 Victoria Collingwood. Do we have questions to officers? Yep, would officers please come to the front? All right, Councillor Gomez, fire away.
Thank you. Through you, Chair. The applicant is asking the Planning Minister basically to approve two towers of 17 and 23 stories on this site. I'm just a bit confused. Last Sunday, 2 days ago, the Planning Minister issued a press release saying, as I understand it, that the maximum height for this site would be 12 stories. So it's all a bit confusing. So if the Minister approves the application for a permit, what happens? Do the residents have a right to object? It's a bit confusing.
Thank you, through you, Chair. So the clause under which this planning application has been lodged with the Minister provides relatively broad scope for the Minister to make a decision that is different to what the planning scheme provides for. So there is the ability for the Minister to approve a building that's taller than what the planning scheme allows. This application, there has been public notice of the application and residents have had the opportunity to object to the application. They don't have rights of appeal once a decision is made.
Just a follow-up question. So Under what rules will this application be assessed under? I'm a bit confused.
So this application has been lodged under the significant residential development clause of the planning scheme, and it's the decision guidelines in that clause that are relevant to this application, and that's all set out in the assessment table that's attached to the report.
Yeah, Councillor Wade?
I guess I have a kind of practical question. So, that's the framework in which we're operating, and obviously things are fluid at the moment. I was wondering, when people apply to council, my understanding is that they generally engage with officers about the kind of likely things that we might approve in advance, and then they either take that on or they don't. With these DTP applications, do we have a sense of how much developers are doing that? Like, are they engaging with the ministerial team or whoever makes the decision in advance? And is this application being made with a view that they think it is going to pass? Because, like Councillor Gomez has pointed out, it's quite at odds with other things the state government is saying. So I'm just interested, maybe is this one where they will listen to us tonight because things are a bit skewy?
Through you, Chair. So it's my understanding that there's a pre-application process that an applicant must go through as part of an application being accepted to run through the clauses that the Minister becomes the responsible authority for. So there would have been a pre-application process and advice given to the applicant about the likelihood of the application being supported by the Minister at that point in time.
Any other questions? All right, councillors. And we've just been joined by Councillor Davies. Just before we go way forward, can I just confirm, Councillor Davies, that you have familiarised yourself with the matters being presented to this meeting and that you don't have conflicts of interest?
I do.
Nice haircut too. All righty. Is there a way forward? Yes, Councillor Crossland?
Yes, I have a way forward. It's in support of the officer recommendations with amendments.
Great. Can we pop that up on the screen, please?
There's quite a few changes, so in summary, that stairwells be unenclosed common areas. There's some adjustments regarding bicycle parking, resident bicycle parking. There's the chamfering of the corner of Wellington Street to Victoria Parade, deletion of benches that were proposed that would block pedestrian and shared paths, deletion of the, I always struggle with this one, the shared parking area Port Curfew, delete the arch to public plaza, increase the solid to glazing ratio of upper levels of the building, greater application of vertical greenery, and inclusion of wind condition report criteria to improve conditions for pedestrians and cyclists on Wellington Street.
Great, thank you. And do you have a seconder? All right, Councillor Crossland, do you want to go ahead and move this?
Thank you. Thank you firstly to staff for their review of this and the detailed report that has been prepared and all the associated conditions. The amendments that I've made have sought to address a number of issues that I kind of identified that I felt would really complement the conditions that have already been identified. To be really blunt, I'm really disappointed in this application. It's not the kind of thing that I would be hoping that we would see for a location like this. This is a really prominent location on a corner of one of our key bike routes, and it's a massive, massive development. It, from my perspective, doesn't demonstrate great architecture. It doesn't demonstrate design developed with people who'll be walking and cycling in mind. While it does have open spaces, they'll be heavily overshadowed. It's going to be windy as heck, and the interface to the street could be vastly improved. I think if these conditions were collectively taken on board, it would result in a much better outcome and a lived experience for those in the building and those surrounding it. Thank you.
Thank you. And Councillor Wade?
Really just echoing Councillor Crossland, I think the height in and of itself is a lot more than we're hearing from the state government, but isn't necessarily a problem. It's a problem of livability for the people in there and also the people across the road and the people who are using the street. Wellington Street is going to continue to see a lot of people on foot, on bikes, in cars. It's already got a kind of increasing wind tunnel effect and problem going on, and we want to make sure that is a pleasant thoroughfare into the city. More and more people are going to be walking down that street, and if it's a dark wind tunnel at all hours of the day, that becomes a major problem, and for the people living right there, they suffer the effects of that even more. So thank you to the team for, again, just doing an astronomical amount of work on an application that we don't even get to really decide. We're just giving a view on, and to Councillor Crossland for his diligent additions.
Does anyone other councillor want to speak on it? Councillor Gomez?
Thank you, Chair. Planning in Yarra, state government's rules, seems to be quite chaotic at the moment. I mean, a press release was announced on Sunday, 2 days ago, which seems to apply to this site. I've done what I can to read the application for a planning permit, but it's challenging to work out what it is. If you take the minister's announcement, this is double the height of what she's proposed, or what the minister is proposing as the maximum height. So it's challenging to try and work out what to do here. Bottom line, I support the officer's recommendation. Excellent work. We are merely a referral authority here. We are being asked for our opinion. And our opinion from our planning team basically sets out what I think the community wants. So I do support the amendment by my fellow councillors, but I do want to make the point that it is very challenging at the moment to try and work out what to do to look after the residents of Yarra when planning is being taken over by the state government, and we don't quite know what we're being asked to assess, in my opinion. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other councillors want to speak on this? Is there still a right of reply? Yes. Do you want to exercise your right of reply, Councillor Crossland?
I do have a question for officers. It was just confirming the... okay, fabulous. No, just to say thank you again to staff.
Wonderful. All right, we'll pop this to the vote. Councillor Crossland, all those in favour? And that is Davies, Gomez, Ho, McKenzie, Crossland and Wade. That's carried unanimously. Thank you. We will move on to 11 to 13 Spring Street, Fitzroy. Do any councillors want a brief from the officers on this or have questions for the officers on this? Yep, questions? If officers could please come to the front. And once they've sat down, Councillor Crossland, go ahead.
Thank you. This is a similar question to the last application. We're having a range of new controls coming into play within a couple of days. Based on what officers have proposed, can you talk to what the current controls are, what the incoming controls will be, and what the proposed height of this building is in context to those?
Through you, Chair, the current controls that apply to the site with height controls and setback requirements is DDO 40, and the one that's to be approved in any minute now is BFO 23. There are not a lot of differences between the two. In terms of height, they're both 4 stories, generally between 14 and 15 metres in height. Setback requirements, they're generally the same, being 6 metres to the principal or primary street frontage and 3 metres elsewhere. The key differences between the two would be the overshadowing requirements. At the moment, the DDO 40 speaks to a discretionary requirement, whereas the BFO seeks for a mandatory requirement.
Any other questions? All right, thank you, officers. Councillors, I am looking for a way forward. We've got some alternative motions. Over to you. Yep, Councillor Crossland.
Thank you. I'm also happy to incorporate Councillor Aston's amendment into this.
Okay, how do we need to move yours and then have an amendment made to it? Is it, or that's fine, it can just go in? Good, great, excellent, that's easy. All right, do you want to just quickly explain what it is, and then we'll let you ask for a seconder?
For sure. So at a high level, My amendment is around, oh, well, first off is to support the officer recommendations with amendments. Mine is around chamfering the corner of the street, and the other is around vertical greenery, and that one's from Councillor Aston.
Great, and do you have a seconder? Councillor Gomez, all right, go ahead and move it.
Thank you, and once again, thank you to staff for your review of this application and the report you've put together. In many ways, I think this is actually a really nicely articulated design that has been proposed. However, it doesn't align with the built form controls that we have, nor those that are about to come in. I do appreciate many of the different initiatives they try to employ, but this may not have been the site for that. I think these two amendments will really complement those that staff have prepared for this. We want to see more vertical greenery, and this is an opportunity to include more of that, so thank you to Councillor Aston. And my amendment was around chamfering the corner of Spring Street and Argyle Street, which is very much in alignment with many of the buildings in that area. It means that you've got enough room on the corner as a pedestrian, and it also improves wind outcomes. So thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Gomez? No? Alrighty. Well, would any other councillors like to speak on this? All right, we will put it to a vote. Those in favour of Councillor Crossland and Gomez's motion. All right, so that's Davies, Ho, Gomez, McKenzie, Crossland, Wade, carried unanimously. All righty, we will move on to 6.3, which is 64 to 70 Hanover Street, Fitzroy. Does anyone want a brief from officers? Does anyone have questions for officers? Yep, one question. Thanks. And once they sit down, just go ahead, Councillor Crossland.
Thank you. My question relates to the sale of land that has been sought to consolidate this site. Could you please talk to that matter in relation to the application that's before us right now?
Through you, Chair. Yeah, there's a small laneway that provides access to the site from Brunswick Place south. The subject site's the only beneficiary of that laneway. It's essentially a vehicle access to the car park. There is a separate road discontinuance application that's before council at the moment. It hasn't been decided yet.
Any other questions? Okay, we have an alternative motion from Councillor Crossland. Again, so thank you, officers. It's a bit musical chairs tonight. Do you want to just speak to these changes?
Thank you. It's in support of the officer recommendations with amendment. At a high level, it's stairwells being unenclosed to common areas, safety improvements to stairwells at the basement levels, some adjustments regarding bicycle parking, minor adjustment to improve sight lines and improve safety outcomes for bike parking access via Brunswick Place, chamfering the corner to Hanover Street and Brunswick Place, ensuring DDA compliance for apartments for the access of those, and greater facade articulation to what is a relatively blank wall abutting the adjacent property.
Thank you. Do you have a seconder for your amendment or your motion? A seconder? Anyone? Yep, Councillor Davies. Excellent. Okay, go ahead. Thank you, Councillor Crossland.
Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Davies. Yes, again, thank you, staff, for the preparation of this report. And I appreciate the work that's gone into seeking to look at how this can best fit within the context that it is. This is, as per the question asked to staff earlier, in relation to the sale of a laneway that council owns and the opportunity to develop on that land as part of this parcel. We have had community members who were very concerned about the development that might occur at this location. I think the staff have done a really good job of trying to address those concerns as part of the conditions that are proposed. So I'm very supportive of that. I think it will genuinely deliver a better outcome for the immediate residents around it. The conditions that I've prepared similar to what we've heard earlier this evening. They're to try and get some better outcomes so your lived experience within the building is better, and also for those in the surrounding areas. I think most importantly is ensuring that there is DDA accessible compliance to apartments is really important, because the numbers were looking particularly low for that, which was a bit concerning, and making sure that it's going to be more in alignment with our current and very soon to be new planning controls for this location. Thank you.
Okay, and Councillor Davies? No? Alrighty, well, I will put that to the vote. All those in favour of Councillor Crossland and Davies' motion, and that's passed unanimously. Thank you. We will now move on to our final item for the evening. We don't have any speakers arrived, so we'll just jump into it. So it is 94 to 100 Swan Street, Cremorne. Do councillors want a brief from officers or have any questions? Yep, questions? All right, thanks, officers. Once they've sat down, Councillor Davies, do you want to jump right in?
Evening. Just a question about the awnings or lack of awnings in reference to the new face that's been proposed. Generally, the whole thing's an elegant solution in terms of a heritage sort of restoration. Has there been any consultation with the applicant about awnings, vintage awnings being incorporated into their design?
Through you, Chair. Not with council. We don't liaise with the applicant because we're not the responsible authority. However, we have made it really clear in the report what we would expect in terms of the Victorian style of awnings that should be placed on the facade.
That's it.
Any other questions, councillors? Okay, I'm looking for a way forward. We've got some alternative motions. Does someone want to move one? We've got two alternative motions, one from Councillor Davies, one from Councillor Crossland. Has there been any discussion about merging or? All right, well, we might move Councillor Davies first if you want to, since it came in first. Do you want to just tell us what it's about?
Yeah, look, it's pretty straightforward, just leading on from the questions with the officers, and thanks for officers for preparing all this. In general, it is just highlighting the need for coverage on the footpath area, the south footpath, obviously, because up to the east of the same southern footpath, we have heritage awnings, and we just want to be able to replicate that in this amendment.
All right, do you have a seconder for that? Yep, Councillor Gomez.
Could I ask if I could move an amendment?
Yep,
or have it
absolutely.
as a compliant motion?
Yep, so you're wanting to move your motion to merge into this one as an amendment?
Yes, if there's appetite for that.
Yep. Yeah, and you have a seconder? I'll second that. Alrighty, so those, do we have to vote on that if they've agreed to it? Yes, they've agreed to it. Okay, great, excellent. All right, so that's now merged into the original motion from Davies and Gomez. Do you want to move that now? Excellent, your time starts now.
Just again, look, I think this is an elegant solution. It's what local community's been calling for in terms of building a bit more pride in our activity strip down in Swan Street. It really does speak to what can come for Swan Street in terms of how we can just reinvigorate the area. I think a little bit of a nip and a tuck on this application in terms of putting some vintage awnings on there and some extra little bits and pieces makes it perfect, and it's a good step forward, and I thank the developer, wherever you are, for, again, a really nice, elegant solution, and hope to see more of this on Swan Street.
Councillor Gomez?
Through you, Chair. Thank you. Just to reiterate what Councillor Davies is saying, a veranda adds to the fabric of the streetscape, provides shade in summer. It's just a nicer look. So I think anything we can do to try and support an application to try and build back some of the heritage fabric should be supported. Thank you.
Anyone else want to speak on this? Yep, Councillor Crossland.
Just briefly, once again, thank you to staff for all their work on this. I think this looks like a really good proposal. I'm keen to see this be developed. And I welcome Councillor Davies' amendment and appreciate him incorporating mine as well. Thank you.
Great, excellent. Anyone else wishing to speak on this. I think I might just tack on before the vote that this is the only one tonight that we have where our officers are recommending that we don't reject it and then send back what we would have done. Getting a lot more DTP referrals. I think it's very rare that I have a conversation in this community with people who don't acknowledge that we need more housing and that we are a growth area and that our area is changing. But we do a lot of work with our community and with government to create the sort of planning controls that we have in place here. And it is more and more disappointing to me that we are seeing this monetary contribution of affordable housing in a place where we have less than 2% of our rentals as affordable. I think it's really concerning. We talk a lot about character of our neighbourhood, and yes, I can bend to a whole lot of different things that perhaps are outside of what we expect under our planning rules at Yarra, but not when they come with a promise of something like affordable housing that actually goes into a fund that we have no way of knowing whether that will be used for the people who live here. Yarra will stop being Yarra if nurses and teachers and artists and young people can't live here anymore. And I really hope that the government listens to some of the smartest planners in the state and takes our submissions seriously. Alrighty. And lastly, I'd just like to thank Councillor Crossland for your eagle eye. We all bring something to this council, and this isn't the only thing that you bring to our council, but gosh, it is wonderful to have somebody with the background that you have looking over this and giving suggestions that I think are really in line with a lot of the things that we talk about as councillors that are our priorities, like greening and active transport and livable spaces for families. Alrighty, I will now pop that to the vote. All those in favour of, yep, that's well, and that's passed unanimously. Well, that brings us to the end. Do you know what? I completely forgot all the officers will now explain what happens next stuff, didn't I? Do you want to do just one wrap around for the film of what will happen next in all of those?
Thank you, Chair. So following tonight, we will write to DTP outlining the council resolutions and council submission on the matters. The Minister is the decision maker, so we'll make decisions on the applications.
Great. Well, it was good to do it all at once. Let's say that was intentional. I will now close the meeting at 6:58 p.m. Thank you, everybody.